Yo, what is good, my anime people? What is good, yo? So, We Never Learn is coming down to its final couple of episodes, sadly enough, and we're about to be seeing just who or what all this is going to lead to in the case of, is it gonna be some weird love story, or is this just going to be one of these things where we're left without any conclusion at the end of this second season of who he might choose at the end? So not only did this happen, we also just get kind of this instance of understanding, where the teacher kind of sits on stuff in her case of her not really having much of a childhood, I guess you can say. She didn't really have like the memories that he's kind of trying to allow her to have at this point in time. But regardless, she's still capable of saving face and acting as if she didn't enjoy herself, and this moment wasn't as good for her as it was for the girls. So she's really good at hiding that aspect of her character and just, not giving it up in the case of, oh, you can easily know that that's what I was going for, or something along those lines. So with that being said, we really only get to understand, uh, how talented our main guy is at quickly crafting stuff. And not only that, his memory for things that clearly either he was lying to us about like not liking, or he's just a lot better at something that he just didn't know he was really good at. And those things being his memory, because not only did he have to like look at something that just came out for the first time, he had to remember it like pretty spot on to, you know, make sure it fit. His friend had made sure she was looking cool. I mean, unless once it came out, like he said, that day, it had been posted more about, but it's still relatively early. Like he said it came out in the morning, so he might have had some more references to look at, but he straight up makes this costume that looks identical within, a super short time frame. And then after that, still winds up, getting it to her concert going well, and our weird, super, super weird looking CGI singing cutscene is just really threw me off. That really threw me off, I'm not gonna lie. But overall, I am not surprised that everything we got in this week's episode was relatively, like, again, showing, what girl kind of has a chance, or what girl might end up being chosen at the end of the day. But it still feels like they're just going the route of everybody is a choice, right? Like, it doesn't feel like there really is someone he has to pick if he can just choose them all. So that's always been kind of my problem with these types of shows. You can't really, take them to their maximum, like, seriousness, right? Because if you do, it's like, okay, so does anybody else truly believe that all these girls are gonna, like, if you had the same situation, do you think all of them would settle for you being with any of them, having kids with all of them and whatnot? So it's one of those things where you start thinking about it like that, and you're like, okay, this is kind of dumb. But if you don't, you're just like, what a lucky guy, and these girls must be relatively, different, I guess you could say, in the case of not being so mad at it. I mean, they've all pretty much shown their sides of why they like him and whatnot to each other, so it's kind of obvious at this point that they all either, you know, have somewhat of a desire to be with him, or they just have a crush on him right now, and who knows what it can develop into, and they don't even know that. So I am looking forward to seeing that aspect of the storytelling, if there is more of it in another season, seeing how the season finale is probably just going to be a follow-up of this school festival craziness going on. And if it is, I don't expect too much information from all of it. In the case of, I don't expect to see uh, people just, you know, showing up out of the blue, or I just expect the same characters that we all been used to. Which, seeing my other favorite girl, I don't know who I'd like the most in this show actually. Like, in my case of picking one, I don't know who I would pick, but in the case of him ending up with one, I also don't know who I would pick, right? Like, they're all gotten their own quality, like their own things about them that are nice. So it's like, regardless of how you kind of look at it, it's still a winning situation for you, no matter who you kind of end up with. Unless there's certain things about the girls that you don't like, then there you go. That's the way. There's a losing situation in it. But for me, there's not too much wrong with any of them, right? In the case of that, either it's something that could change in the future, or it's just something that's natural and it's whatever. Um, I truly did like this episode, but at the same time, for some odd reason, our main guy just can't stay out of like full body suits ever. Like, that's just his calling at this point, which sucks to be him, right? Because no matter what he does, as soon as he gets in one of those suits, it seems like the worst types of things happen. So it almost felt like a little homage, an homage to that, you know, that type of comedy that he's been going through all the time. So I don't know if that is a sign of like, hey, you might not get a season two because look, we're paying off all of these moments that you're so used to seeing, and this might be the last time you see them. I'm not saying that is for sure what they're like trying to get across, but it could be, you know. Give us a little bit of everything. They even gave us the teacher popping out of the uniform, you know, like a little bit of just everything before the season finale, and we can only wonder what's going to happen until it actually happens. So if you do have any predictions of what's going to go on in the future of this show, let me know. Unless you know exactly what's happening, don't spoil me. But yeah, overall, have an awesome day, night, evening, whatever the case may be when you're watching this. I am your boy, the Anime G, and I will definitely be talking to you sooner than later. So with all that being said, making this before Christmas Eve, so if you do celebrate that, Merry Christmas Eve tomorrow. And I think I should be making videos all uh, Christmas break, so expect to hear from me. But with all that being said, peace.